Greetings, hi, TheWarOwl greets you, and welcome once again to another Beta Impressions video, where I discuss the potential of upcoming FPS titles. Leeching off the renewed interest in Star Wars, thanks to the upcoming J.J. Abrams movie, Star Wars Battlefront is a new war simulator first-person shooter in the same vein as Battlefield. In fact, they're built on the same engine and by the same people. It looks, feels, and plays like Battlefield, but it's Star Wars. I'm very aware that there were other games in the series, very popular predecessors. I have not played them, so I'm not going to focus on that. So, Star Wars. Star Wars is an intellectual property that has been plundered to death, a cash cow that has been squeezed dry of all milk and dignity. It was originally a trilogy of movies that became a social phenomenon. They were great movies, and an entire multi-billion-dollar franchise was built off of these movies and off of their success, and everything since the three movies with the Star Wars name on it has been utter trash, no cow pun intended. When I played the game, I wanted to view it without the lens of Star Wars. Does this game have potential removed from the recognizable IP? But first, the Star Wars. In terms of a Star Wars simulator that lets you play out your Star Wars fantasies, that drops you into a scene from the movie and the battles depicted in the series, it works on all levels. The visuals in this game, thanks to DICE's Frostbite 3 engine, are positively breathtaking. And on my system at least, the performance given the visuals was stellar. I remember originally being blown away by Battlefield 3's engine, and I had the same reaction to this one. The Star Wars elements are there. It really feels like you've been dropped right into the movies, with laser blasters pew-pewing overhead, green and red shots pelting the scenery, space fighters whizzing above the atmosphere. I absolutely adore this game from this perspective. It's stunning. Even the menu screen feels like you're picking a thumbnail from the movie to put yourself into, like a scene selector. And the fades in the game to change the screen, just a beautiful throwback transition. I love that. Star Wars John Williams music playing the whole time. Darth Vader sounds like James Earl Jones. I loved it. Even just looking around, you get the impression that there's a larger conflict going on around you beyond the 20 versus 20 battle you're partaking in. A few times I found myself looking upward at the stars, the planets, the space battles, and thinking, I want to be up there. That battle looks like a lot of fun. I'd like to go up there and check that out. But you can't. But I have to ask the question, is today's gaming audience really that interested in Star Wars? Star Wars' core audience is now in their 40s and 50s. Kids these days got Jar Jar Binks. I doubt they're itching to get back to that universe. Plus, this game is absolutely 100% set in the original trilogy, and I'm so glad it is. But I don't think kids these days like Star Wars. It's just another space shooter to them. You can't make a video game and gear its entire wrapping to 50-year-old men. They've moved on. They have wives and kids who are off to college. They got careers, and they're thinking about retirement. So strip away the Star Wars and what do you get? A standard run-of-the-mill FPS experience. It may just be that the beta didn't allow us to try too many things out, but the game felt fairly sparse, Spartan, simplistic. About 3 hours in, I felt I'd already done everything there was to do. I had tried all of the items and weapons in battle, all the vehicles, even ran around as Darth Vader and force-choked people. Now I have to touch upon this, the progression system. I despise progression systems like this in FPS games. It's your classic get experience points by playing in order to level up, allowing you to unlock stuff. It creates the scenario where new players get absolutely unfairly owned because folks who've been playing for a while aren't necessarily better at the game, they're not necessarily better players, they just have better equipment. I very cynically understand the purpose of this. The EA business model, they'll probably try to sell double experience time or something like that. They want to keep people playing the game and bringing them back, so they're going to throw like, whoa, headshot, 200 points! I do like how most games are going the way of making most of this stuff cosmetic, and it's possible that Battlefront will have minimal progression system stuff before the cosmetic stuff starts. But we don't know, just because we've only been given a very small slice of the game. On that note, I have to point this out, this is the other elephant. This is not a beta. This is the most shameless demo posing as a beta that I've ever seen. The game has built-in pre-order advertisements on the main screen and reminds you to purchase the game after every game you play. A beta is supposed to be for balance, to fix performance issues, to test the game on the near infinite number of PC builds that there are there. This game feels done when you play it. I don't think they're gonna change their mind on anything. This is no beta. Now, you can get mad at DICE for this, but this totally feels like an EA decision. The company that brought you always online SimCity and killed that beloved franchise. Don't worry, though. They can't kill Star Wars. It's been dead for years. We got like 6 rounds of an incredibly easy single-player co-op mode that plays like your standard run-of-the-mill survival game like Killing Floor. That game mode felt really stale though. I kinda just wanted to go play Killing Floor or Left 4 Dead 2. There's an arcadey Call of Duty mode, which was a small map where you have to hold on drop pods for a period of time to get them as points. Seems like it was a beginner thing. It was like King of the Hill. I think they wanted you to play this first as sort of like a tutorial. Hey, that's the drop pod from the Star Wars, where the robots are taking it to the desert world to warn Princess Leia. Anyway, I don't personally like that game mode because I don't like those kinds of hectic mania arcade shooter style games with zero tactics where you die to nades every 20 seconds, but I know people who loved it. And while the combat was stale, I think if you like those kinds of games, you'll enjoy that mode. This might be the we have something for everyone type game. And of course, when you try to please everybody, Abraham Lincoln said something that I can't remember, but it was a good quote. The final mode, which I spent the majority of my time in, was the Battle of Hoth. This was like rush mode from Battlefield. The Imperials escort 2 giant AT-AT walkers from point A to point B across a number of checkpoints, while the rebels fight to take the shields down on the walkers and give themselves as much time as possible to damage them. I think this game mode was a bit too complicated for the beta crowd, who tended to just stand around and shoot at each other instead of focusing on the objectives, but I loved it. My favorite thing to do was fly the spaceships around and participate in the dog fights and the bombing runs. I didn't like the auto-lock aim mechanic or the right-click thing on it. I tend to shoot better when I just turn off the auto-targeting mode, just like in the movie. I jumped into this one thing. Now, I'm sure there's some nerd out there who's gonna get mad at me for not remembering the name of it, but it was the thing that they used to tie a rope around the walker's legs and knock it over in the movie. I just thought like, okay, this is neat. I wonder what this thing will do. Pretty much what it did, just tie a rope around the walker's leg like it did in the movie. This game is so true to the source material, you have to respect it for that. People are saying that the game is unbalanced because the Imperials win every time. I don't think it is. I just think people don't know what to do. And a big reason for that is a lack of team coordination. The reason for a lack of team coordination, there's no way to communicate with your team beyond text. There's no voice chat, there's no designated commander player like Battlefield 2. This is very much in need of that. I think it should be 32 versus 32, or if they can get it 64 versus 64, I know it's probably not possible, but with an in-game commander, you need somebody calling the shots, or all you get is just a bunch of noobs huddled in the corner not knowing what to do. This is absolutely necessary for a game mode like this, and I fear they won't add it in. Look, you got noobs who run around and just kind of shoot and everything, and they don't know what's going on, they don't know what to do, and they don't care. I don't want to play with those people. I think you need 2 different types of servers or game modes or something like that, where one where players actually want to play the game, and one where noobs can just mess around. You know who I'm talking about, the people who are like, games are just fun, so I'm not gonna try to win. It's like, okay, go watch a movie, buddy, what the hell? The whole point of a game is that you try to win. That's what a game is. To kill the walkers, you need to play objective-based, to get air superiority when the time comes to attack it, so you can go for that one-hit kill with the rope guy, or just pound on it with the X-Wings and the A-Wings, or even the stationary towers. In one game I was playing, we killed one of them. We took it down with the stationary towers. It's very complicated, but that's a reason I really enjoy it. Now, I've gotten very far into this video without even mentioning the shooting and the movement mechanics, which for an FPS, I mean, I've always said is the most important thing. It has all the elements. It's got bullet travel, which, it's laser blast. Shouldn't it go at the speed of light? You know, we complain about games like Call of Duty where the guns feel like lasers. Now we have a game where the guns are lasers, and we're actually given proper shooting mechanics. What the hell, video games? There's a slight recoil to the weapons, you have to time the shots because they take so long to travel, and the fire rates are generally slow. I really like the mechanics of the weapons overheating instead of having ammo, but it kind of feels like all the primaries function the same. The shooting mechanics make sense for a game like this. You reach the skill ceiling very quickly, and if you're an FPS guy like me, it's really easy. I've played games like Tribes, Quake, and there's a massive skill ceiling in the shooting. This is not one of those games. The reason being, the movement isn't crazy. You're on the ground chilling, not flying around in the sky. Unless you're in a spaceship. One aspect I really liked a lot was that instead of having different weapons in your 1, 2, 3 slots, instead you're given abilities, like a MOBA, and you can switch out each slot with different abilities such as grenades or a one-shot sniper rifle or augmentations to your primary shots. This adds so much more variety to the combat, and without it, this game would be very, very stale instead of just mildly stale. Another interesting mechanic is how the vehicles and power-ups worked. Basically, the vehicles were pretty much power-ups on the ground. If you wanted to pilot an X-Wing, you had to find an X-Wing power-up on the ground to use it. Unique, but I would rather have it on the death screen, so you could choose to spawn as an X-Wing, sort of like how Battlefield does it. Because in a more organized battle, you'd want to designate somebody as X-Wing man, and not have them all running all over the place waiting for it to spawn. But overall, while playing, it actually worked out pretty well. I just don't like hunting for vehicles. And yeah, they do spawn in the exact same spot, sometimes with an obvious indicator, like a crashed X-Wing for an X-Wing spawn, but it could have been better. As for the potential of this game, our conclusion. I think this game has a lot of potential to be a Star Wars simulator. If you ever wanted to participate in Star Wars battles, fly an X-Wing, shoot stormtroopers, slice guys apart and force choke them as Darth Vader, ride an AT-AT around, shoot blasters, this is your game, hands down. It's a lot of fun, and it'd almost be the perfect war simulator if they got the social aspects down and increased the number of players in the battle. I got a distinct World War I feel while playing the game in the Battle of Hoth. I will consider purchasing this game. I kind of have to be honest, because I make content about this sort of stuff. But this year, guys, 2015, this is the first time I've actually been excited about upcoming FPS titles in a long time. This is a good one, guys. I enjoyed it a lot. It has problems, what every game does, and I'm sure EA will do some sort of egregious thing to piss everybody off in terms of microtransactions or something. They always do. I'm expecting that. Final words, if you like Star Wars and you like Battlefield, it's Christmas morning for you. I'm TheWarOwl, and I still have no closer.